Greetings comic book fans and welcome to my comic book reviews for the third week of June 2015. We've got 18 books to review this week, so without further ado, let's get into those reviews. So we're going to kick things off with Marvel this week. We've got 5 books from Marvel to review. We're going to start off with the one book that isn't affected at all by Secret Wars, and that is Deathlok, issue number 9. Again, another really great issue, and I don't hear nobody talking about this, but I'm really enjoying this. We've got our character Deathlok, who's now free of the control of biotech, and this issue he's kind of taking the fight to biotech. Meanwhile, the previous Deathlok, he's working with S.H.I.E.L.D. to kind of try and bring down biotech, and it ends up with the two Deathloks kind of teaming up, which is really cool. By the end of the issue, we think we've got a new status quo and a new direction, and then there's this really awesome twist that is just so obvious, but like is really well done, and I just really loved it. The art throughout this is great. Mike Perkins has just done a great job of the series, and he's not an artist I've heard of before. But yeah, I really like his stuff. Here he does a really... There's occasional moments where some of his figures do look a bit awkward. Like here you've got like the two Deathloks, when they first meet they fight, and it looks a bit, the way he's got the one drawn. But yeah, I'd say the majority of his art is really great. I really love where this is heading. Every issue just keeps moving the story forward. I'm going to give Deathlok issue number 9 5 stars out of 5. So now getting into our Secret Wars books. First we have 2 Last Days books. First up we have Magneto issue number 19, Last Days of Magneto. I thought this character reminded me of the Sugar Man, and it is the Sugar Man. So I like, you know, it's not often I'm right about these things. So celebrate any victories, however small. So yeah, this issue I really enjoyed. I loved this book in the beginning when it was Magneto, the Mutant Avenger, as he was going around righting wrongs. I really loved that. And while I've still enjoyed the book as we've gone on, I enjoyed it the most at the beginning when we had that. And this is kind of a way, a return to that. This issue, last issue we saw Magneto display a lot of power. This issue we learn how he got all that power and how he was able to do that, which sees the character of the Sugar Man come into it. By the end of the issue we've had a lot of things explained, and we've seen the return of Magneto the Mutant Avenger, but then we get the question we've wanted to see asked for months. And it looks like we're gonna get answers next issue, which I'm super excited for. So yeah, this was a really good return to form. I liked how the scenes from the present and the past, the present ones are all kind of, because you've got all this energy going over them, are all really bright. So when we have the flashback scenes, they're all really coloured really dark. So you know instantly looking at them which are the flashbacks and which are like the modern scenes, because you'll see the colours, and straight away will give the game away. I enjoyed this. I had a gripe with the art in that I thought at times it didn't seem it appeared that it was quite rushed at times and wasn't as good as it could have been. It's still 100 times better than anything I could do, but yeah, it just at times it did seem a bit like it'd been a bit rushed. But yeah, I'm still enjoying this book, and I'm really excited for next issue, and I'm going to give Magneto issue number 19 4 stars out of 5. So next we have Miss Marvel issue number 16, which is another Last Days issue. I really like that cover, really nice moody cover. Now, this book reminds me so much of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Every time I read this, everything I loved about Buffy, this book has. It's like she's dealing with having these abilities, these powers, but she's still got a regular life going on and dealing with all the things that as teenager does, and dealing with having a heart broke for the first time, and in this issue, just as like she thinks Cameron can't hurt her no more, he still finds new ways to hurt her. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and the whole thing with her wrestling with what's going on here. Is it too big for me? Can I deal with this? And then we get back up, and yeah, I really loved it. The art throughout, it just is tremendous. This is just an absolute delight of a book. Really loved this, and I'm going to give Miss Marvel issue number 16 5 stars out of 5. So moving on now to our Secret Wars books, we have seen Squadron Sinister issue number 1. I was quite curious about this book, as we have what it appears to be is like Marvel have took the Justice League, but then they've decided to do the Crime Syndicate version, and this is Marvel's version of the Crime Syndicate. So instead of Ultraman, we've got Hyperion. Instead of Owlman, we've got Nighthawk. Instead of Power Ring, we've got Dr. Spectrum. Instead of Johnny Quick, we've got Wizard. And instead of Superwoman, we've got Warrior Woman. And so, yeah, this was really so I went into it quite intrigued, quite interesting, but the book didn't really do it for me. They were just bad for the sake of being bad. We haven't got yet any real reasons behind the characters. None of the characters kind of intrigued me enough to kind of come back. There was good things here. I really enjoyed the art. There's one particular panel where we kind of have all these different artifacts. I don't know how well you can see that. We've got like a Hawkman helmet, a Green Lantern, we've got a trident, we've got a lasso in there, we've got, you know, a bow and arrow, a green bow and arrow, a utility belt. I liked that in their like kind of trophy room. I thought that was a really nice touch there. I did get a chuckle out of that. And I liked that the end of the book does end on a couple of really tasty cliffhangers that kind of have you wondering where they're going to go. We also have the mystery. We introduced this character who is basically an Iron 4, he's called. He's kind of like part Iron Man, part 4. I'm trying to find a good picture of him. No, there isn't a good picture. But anywho, he ends up dead, and we've got the mystery of, well, who killed him. So I did like that. So there were good touches in here, but none of the characters really interested me enough to really want to come back. So yeah, this is one. I don't think I'll pick the next one up, even though it wasn't all bad. It was some good as well. Just it wasn't for me. So I'm going to give Squadron Sinister issue number 1 3 stars out of 5. So our final Marvel book this week is Old Man Logan, issue number 2. Really enjoyed this. It was just all action. The story just constantly moving, and kind of Old Man Logan not even really getting at times to recover to stuff. I did have a couple of gripes. In this, it kind of basically Logan has gone out of his domain, and it's not allowed to travel between the different kind of parts of Battleworld. And he's going from his domain to another. So first he has to come to face with one of the Thors, who kind of is trying to stop him from going from place to place. It then comes across the Age of Apocalypse versions of characters, because that's the world he seems to have gone into. And he encounters Sabretooth, who is on a leash and is kind of being used as like a sniffer dog to kind of find the X-Men. Now, it's been a while since I read Age of Apocalypse, but I'm pretty sure Sabretooth was an X-Man, and even if he was captured, I don't understand why he would be behaving the way he behaves. It's like they've got a different version of Sabretooth and they've put him in the Age of Apocalypse, because it doesn't seem like the Age of Apocalypse version, and that just that took me out of the story a bit, so I didn't enjoy it quite as much. The other thing is, so much is crammed in here that at times we don't really get enough time to see Logan react to stuff. When he comes face to face with the Age of Apocalypse X-Men, that kind of scene goes a bit too quickly, and I would have really liked to have seen, you know, that played out a bit more before Sabretooth and Mr. Sinister catch up with them, and it all kind of kicks on to the next bit. I felt the moments didn't have enough to breathe, but there is plenty of action here. The art and colours by Sorrentino and Miyamoto are fantastic. The end was a real doozy, and I'm really excited for next issue. But so all in all, I really enjoyed this, even though it might sound like I didn't. I did. It was a real treat, and I'm going to give Old Man Logan issue number 2 4 stars out of 5. So those are my Marvel books for this week. Next up, I'm going to review the indie books I got. So here I am now with the indie reviews. We've got a big pile of indie books this week. We've got 7 indie books to review, if I've counted correctly. We're going to kick things off with Titan Comics and their Doctor Who books. We've got 2 Doctor Who books this week. We've got Doctor Who, the 9th Doctor Adventures, issue number 2. I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed the first issue of this as well. It's been a really good book. They've got the character of the 9th Doctor perfect. Captain Jack seems a bit toned down, but that wasn't so bad. Last issue, they lost Rose, so like this issue, the Doctor's desperately trying to rescue her and save her, and we get her, and then that throws us into a bigger mystery as where they find her, and it throws a bigger mystery, and the Doctor then wants to find out who's behind this, and that leads to our cliffhanger. I really like this story, constantly moving nicely along. It all feels very organic. Like I said, the characterization of the 9th Doctor is spot on, as well as Rose and Captain Jack. The Jack, you could argue, is a bit toned down, but yeah, this was really good. I really enjoyed this. It was a real treat, and another really good Doctor Who book. So I give 9th Doctor issue number 2 5 stars out of 5. We then have the 11th Doctor issue number 13, and last issue, this is a story that's been running from issue 1, and I kind of want it finished, but issue 12 ended with it going in an interesting direction, and we pick up on that interesting direction here, and it delivers. They've kind of dropped some of the stuff in the story that I didn't quite understand, and there's still aspects I don't understand, but like the main thrust of it, that you've got this zombie Cyberman army trying to take over the universe, kind of to spread, and it's pretty scary, and I liked that. I liked the kind of twist on the Cybermen, making them kind of these zombie-like creatures rather than just ordinary Cybermen. I thought it was really good. Jones, I didn't really care about his fate much because he's a character I haven't really liked that much, so that didn't really add anything for me. I did like this a lot better, and the story's a lot more straightforward and easy to follow, and by the end of the issue, the Doctor's in a pretty bad way, and you kind of like, how's he going to get out of this one? But yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was a lot better. Even though I still want this story finished, I thought this was a lot better, and I did enjoy it, and I'm going to give Doctor Who 11th Doctor Adventures issue number 13 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have the final issue of Alex and Ada, issue number 15. This concludes it. It's the same. This was $3.99, and it is a thicker book to finish it all off. I didn't realise it was $3.99. So it's on there $3.99, but it is a lot thicker than usual. I really enjoyed this. It's a very satisfying conclusion, and it kind of, the series had a very small cast, yet you never really felt that was ever a problem. And again, this issue, kind of a very small cast, a kind of very enclosed kind of space where the story goes on, but you're engrossed all the way through it. And basically what happens here, Ada was killed last issue, and so Alex was arrested and put on trial. So he's put on trial here, and he ends up spending 25 years in prison for making an android sentient. And so we follow him through his time in prison, his incarceration. We have clips of news stories, so we know the events that are going on. We have a look at him and how he's affected, and then we kind of him coming out of prison, and they get Ada's body back, and it's like, can they bring her back, or is she gone? Is she gone, and he's waited all this time, and it's too late, he can't save her, he can't bring her back. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a very satisfying conclusion. I won't spoil whether we get a happy or a sad ending, but I was very satisfied with it. Really enjoyed this. It's a really good series because you feel you've got a complete story, and I really enjoyed it. Really good stuff. We give Alex and Ada, issue number 15, the final issue, 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Lazarus, issue number 17, and yeah, I always enjoy Lazarus. It's just a really good book. Now they're at war, so we get it. This issue we kind of concentrate on the Carlisle side, and I don't know if that's the perspective we're going to get all the way through. Kind of Forever is really stepping up because it's war, and this is kind of what she was made for. We've got the brother who's took over, and you've got the sister. She's trying to get power, but everybody's kind of shutting her out. So it's interesting. You've got this power play going on within this whole war thing going on. This book is just really great. And like, is the father going to recover, or is he going to die from being poisoned? And kind of all these stuff going on. Really good stuff. Really interested to see where we're going to go with this. I give Lazarus, issue number 17, 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have Bloodshot Reborn, issue number 3. This is the variant cover, which is quite gruesome. So yeah, this issue we've got Ray. I think he calls himself Ray now. Yeah, Ray. One thing I love about the Valiant books is the recap here. You kind of like this. You can kind of just jump onto any book because they pretty much nail everything you need to know. This issue we have him trying to take. He got the nanites that was the geomancer that freed from him, but they've gone into other people and I'm turning them into serial killers. So Ray's going around trying to get the nanites back, and this issue it kind of takes him. He has to get this suspect who's been arrested, and he has to find a way to get in to like this police station without being detected to get the nanites back. We also have our investigating officers who are investigating these two kind of serial killers who seem to be totally unrelated, yet they kind of have coloured themselves the same and draw, and so like, what's their link? And so yeah, I'm enjoying this book. This issue, I feel the book's getting stronger as it goes. We've also got like still what's going on in Ray's head, as he's still seeing the Geomancer, and he's this character called Bloodsquirt. He's still seeing him. Like, he isn't quite all there yet. But yeah, I think this book is one of those books with Valiant, and one of the things that they do is the series, they get better as they go on and they get stronger. They kind of lay the foundation and they build and build and build on that. And this was another one. I'm enjoying this, and I'm definitely intrigued to see where we're going to go next issue. Because like, as he absorbs the nanites, it's changing him, and so like, yeah, but yeah, I feel I've done a really crap review of this book, because I feel like I've just said yeah a lot, but it's very difficult to kind of speak about it without spoiling parts of the story. But I'm enjoying the book because it's a great insight into kind of what being a soldier, and like, Bloodshot was this soldier who went on, who knows how many missions, and the people that he's killed, and that affects a person, and it's seeing the psychological effect of being this super soldier, as well as now, but he's still got something inside him that he still wants to do good, and that's why he's trying to take the nanites back, so that like people aren't going to get hurt. But at the same time, he's dealing with the psychological, punishment of being this killer, and I'm finding that very interesting how Lemire's balancing the whole thing of the book, and I think he's doing a great job. I'm going to give Bloodshot Reborn issue number 3 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Exo Manowar issue number 37. I think this is one of the variant covers, which I really like that cover. So this issue is the final part of the Dead Hand story, and it wraps it up really nicely. We saw last issue that Exo Manowar got that army to kind of help him take on Dead Hand, and then, you know, they take the fight to Dead Hand. But like, what I like is that while it feels like we've got a complete story and there's a satisfying conclusion, there are threads that are left that we can pick up later that I'm really intrigued to see where they're going to go at some point. So that was all good. So yeah, this was another good issue. I'm always satisfied when I get Exo Manowar. It's always good. So I'm going to give this issue 5 stars out of 5. So our final indie book this week, it is Ivar Timewalker issue number 6. We've got the three brothers have come together because they're going to try and stop Neela Seti. Meanwhile, Neela is with her future self, and she's trying to recreate this experiment that she did so that they can change time. I really enjoyed this. I like the stuff with the three brothers, because like they've been picked off one by one on this space station, and it's really cool because there's like this really kind of sci-fi horror kind of vibe to it as they've been picked off one by one, and I'm really interested to see how that's gonna end out. The stuff with Neela as well, you're beginning to see, is she having doubts about what she's doing? So that's really interesting with that, and it very much feels like at the moment we're following two stories, and it's at some point you got to think those two stories are going to intersect, and that's going to be the interesting part. But yeah, this was another very satisfying issue. I give Ivar Timewalker issue number 6 5 stars out of 5. So those are my indie books. Next up, our final batch of reviews, and it's DC Comics. So our final batch of reviews before we get into our like pick of the week and company of the week, we have 5 books from DC Comics. The first book is a book from about, I think, 2 weeks ago, a new number 1, and this was recommended by one of the staff in my comic shop, and I kind of finally gave in. It is Midnighter issue number 1. I do like that cover with the like kind of spiral thing in the background. I like this. I liked that a lot. This book, I enjoyed this, and I went into it, you expect it to be good because it's been recommended, but I didn't expect it to be as good or to enjoy it as much as I did. Midnighter, not a character I have that much history with. I read Stormwatch at the beginning of the New 52, so I know him from that. I can remember him from Grayson issue 1, but I never have been a big follower of the character, so I came to this kind of with a bit of a clean slate, a little tiny bit of knowledge, but mainly a clean slate, and I enjoyed this. The beginning, we've got like this scene in a restaurant where Midnighter is on a date. For those of you who don't know, Midnighter is a gay man, so it's a date with a man. But I like the matter-of-fact way that they deal with that. They don't seem to make a big deal. It's, yeah, he's on a date, and there's his date, and he's a man. So, yeah, what's out of the ordinary here? And I liked how they dealt with that. Thought that was nice. They didn't make a deal of it. And that was cool. And so, like, these terrorists come in, and they try, they're looking for someone, and Midnighter takes them out. So it's a great way for Midnighter to show off his abilities, his powers, for us to learn what he can do and that. I did feel that they tried to make the scene a bit too stylized. They were trying to be a bit Sorrentino-y, and it didn't work. And it just made the scene really confusing, and I find bits of that scene a bit hard to follow. But once we got past that scene, the art through the rest of the book is really great, and I really enjoyed it. The story as well is really good. We get introduced to Midnighter through his date, and while you could argue Midnighter maybe gives a bit too much information out for a second date, because they go on a second date, a second or first date, it works for the story because it gives us, the reader, more information about him. Little tidbits like that he was homeless and he still sleeps on the floor because he's never got used to sleeping on a bed because he was homeless. So he must have been homeless for some time for kind of that to be a thing that stuck. We then have like how he has all these portals and everything he does. So that, like, it gives us an intriguing insight into the man, but at the same time, it gives us a few questions we want answered later on. So that's all really good. And then by the end of the issue, we've been introduced to our character, we know what he can do now, and then while story gets set up, this is where we're going. And it leaves you eagerly waiting more. Really enjoyed this, it was really good stuff, and I give Midnighter issue number 1 a definite 5 stars out of 5. It was really good stuff. Now, another new number 1 this week, as DC are bringing out a lot of new number 1s this month. We have Robin, Son of Batman, issue number 1. I went into this one. I didn't pick it up my initial run to the comic shop. I went back and got this. I was a bit unsure. Sometimes when an artist becomes a writer, it doesn't always work. And so sometimes it will work and sometimes it can be a disaster. And I wasn't quite sure how this was going to work. But I heard a lot of good things, so I thought I'd give it a whirl, and I'm glad I did. Patrick Gleason does a top job. I like that the book is going back to some of the things we saw in Batman and Robin, because I love that run, and that there's consequences to some of the events of that book, so that is really cool. I love his pet, Goliath, his pet Man-Bat, and I want one myself as soon as it's possible. I will definitely putting that on my Christmas list. And yeah, the story as well, plenty of action. Again, it has kind of a standard thing that a lot of these number 1s, where we introduce the character, we show what the character can do, and then we set up the story and off we go. I enjoyed this. I didn't realise until I paid for it that it was $3.99, which you know, DC are usually good on price, but they're slowly getting their books to $3.99. But this was good stuff. I was pretty chuffed with it when I'd finished reading it, and definitely very interested to see. We've kind of got 3 stories going on, and I'm interested to see where they're all going to go and how they're going to join up in the future. So I give Robin, Son of Batman, issue number 1, 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Martian Manhunter in issue number 1. Boy, was this book dark. It has a real sci-fi horror kind of vibe to it. In the beginning, we kind of meet this character called Mr. Biscuit, which I don't know where that's going to go. He kind of top and tails this issue. We then see Martian Manhunter, and we get an insight into his powers. We get like the gist that what we know about Martian Manhunter may not be the truth, and that's intriguing. We then get, we see him save an aeroplane, so he shows his powers, and then we kind of get these other threads of story as people are being possessed, and that's all very intriguing and very sci-fi kind of horror vibe. I really enjoyed this. It was just an absolute treat. I've always really liked Martian Manhunter as a character, but I really like how here this is tonally different to anything else I'm reading from DC, and I'm really pleased that DC are doing these things. They're trying these different kind of tones in their books, because it's really working out so far. And you know, like, this month has been a great month for DC books, and I think coming out of this month, I think I'm much more excited at the moment about DC than Marvel. While I'm enjoying Secret Wars, there isn't as much yet that's exciting me as I am with all the new stuff we're getting from DC. So I'm going to give Martian Manhunter issue number 1 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Dr. Fate issue number 1. First gripe I had with the issue was that this carries on straight after the sneak peek. So you need to read the sneak peek really. You can kind of follow it, but it is a bit difficult. So it's easier if you go and you pick this book up. It make it a lot easier to follow if you pick up the sneak peek, which I don't know. I think you can get it on various things online to read. So yeah, I didn't like that, because that kind of if you hadn't been reading none of the Convergence books, or you hadn't seen the sneak peek, maybe you know you don't have regular access to the internet, you know, that would be a bit, yeah. The story itself, when you first look at this, you can kind of think, is this like, this is going to be kind of the way they're doing this with the Asian family? Is it kind of going to be their kind of version of Miss Marvel? But that did the book a disservice. It's a different book, because the Dr. Fate character is a bit more of a serious kind of character. So like getting there, I like, because the whole issue is kind of setting up to the character becoming Dr. Fate, and you know, and we're setting everything up. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought. There's a real cliffhanger I didn't see coming at the end that has me super intrigued, and I kind of went into this book in two minds whether I was going to stick on it, but I actually really enjoyed it, so I think I'm going to stick with this, and I'll be back for the next issue. I give Dr. Fate issue number 1 4 stars out of 5. So our final DC book of the week, it is Superman Wonder Woman issue number 18. It continues the Truth storyline, so the story is much more Superman centric, but this was great. I really enjoyed this. We start off with a really nice scene with Wonder Woman watching over Superman in bed, because like now the roles are reversed and she's the stronger, physically stronger of the two, and so you see her love for Superman and her wanting to protect him. He gets a phone call from Lana Lang, and then she disappears. He goes to Smallville to find her, and somebody's slowly kind of erasing all of like everything Superman's touched there. People are disappearing, and but who's doing all this? So, and then we get characters turn up at the end. Like I said, I really enjoyed this. I have not done it justice at all there, but you've got the mystery of who's doing all of this, who's like, for example, the Kent's farm has like just disappeared, and all these different places have been dug up and gone, and people are missing, and so you've got the mystery of what's going on. You've then got the characters that turn up at the end that's going to be an interesting confrontation. This was really good stuff. I really enjoyed this, and I'm enjoying all the Truth stuff so far. I'm glad like I've given it all a go, because I have really enjoyed it. I give Superman Wonder Woman issue number 18 5 stars out of 5. So that's DC. Let's find out now what my pick of the week is. So my pick of the week for the 3rd week of June 2015 is Thors issue number 1. Wow, this was fantastic. It was the last book I read, and it knocked my socks off. I wasn't expecting this. This was brilliant. It's kind of like a cop drama with a homicide squad investigating murders, but with Thors, so you add in fantasy in there. So it's kind of like a fantasy-based cop show. It was just fantastic, and they've merged the genres here. It was brilliant stuff. I like the kind of the partners and the whole thing about they've got this case that's a oh god, what did they call it? An all thing. It's an all thing, because it's a case that's like they might not be able to solve, and that Doom will look into, and it could end up with them being demoted and stuff. This mystery of these 5 women been murdered in 5 different rounds the same way, and it's kind of like they think they got a serial killer, but they're in different kind of parts of Battleworld, so that shouldn't happen. And there's no leads and everything, and you've got all the procedure and stuff. I just loved. The other little wrinkle I loved is the language they use. Like instead of goddamn, they use doom damn, because Doom is their god. So I really like little things. I love language, so like little things of that just make me chuckle, and I really enjoy. But yeah, this was just fantastic. Again, Jason Aaron just does a fantastic job with this. I've really given us something that you would think I got a cop drama, but it just works. Everything just works, and it clicks into each other so brilliantly. I really enjoyed this. I'm going to give Thors issue number 1 my pick of the week. Well, we've made it to the end of the video. It is now time for Company of the Week. What company of the week is every week I will take, for example, the DC books. I will add the total of the scores they got together. I will divide it by the number of DC books I've reviewed, and that will give me an average score. I do the same for Marvel and the same for the Indies, and then I see out of the three who is the company week who got the best average score. So in third place this week we have Marvel with a 4.3 average rating. In second place we have the Indies with a 4.7 average rating, and in first place with an average rating of 4.8 we have DC Comics. So DC Comics for the third week of June 2015 are the company of the week. And I'm not that surprised because I think it was a strong DC book, the DC week. I think all the DC books that I read, I pretty much enjoyed. So yeah, I think very good. And I think DC having a good month, a very good month. So that's me done for this week. Sorry there was no video last week. It was just a crazy week with work. I just didn't have time to do the video. Because like when I got home I was just knackered and all I wanted to do was rest and then to get up and start doing a video, so I didn't do one. But I am back this week, all being well. We will have a whole video up on Wednesday, and then hopefully some point of the weekend, look for it a bit earlier this week, some point over the weekend there'll be a review video. So thank you very much for watching. All that leaves me to say is that I've been Jason. These have been my comic book reviews. Bye for now.